My name is Athena, and in this video I'm going to discuss the last few books that I read in May. We are now in my kitchen, although you can't really see it because I'm hungry and I'm boiling some water, so like this I can keep an eye on the water while still filming my last video because I really want to have lunch. So I'm gonna have a salad. Anyway, the first book in this video is a Babysittersclub book. This is number 55, Jessie and de grote zwemwedstrijd. In English this one's called Jessie's Gold Medal. And in rereading this series, which is one of my favorite series from my childhood, if not my most favorite, number 55 was next. This is a Dutch edition. And after I finished it, I found out I do actually have number 55 in English, Jessie's Gold Medal. This is the UK edition, or a UK edition. But this has the same cover, I think, same front image. This as I think some of the US original version, but then the colors are only different. So I reread this in Dutch. I really wanted, on the day that I reread this, I felt exhausted from something lately. So I wanted something really familiar to reread. And I have read the Dutch of this series many times, so that's why I chose this. If I had known, because I had some English ones that I found on eBay once, then I don't know what I would have done, because the Dutch that is of course very familiar to me, because those names, because they translated a lot of the names, is a version that's very familiar. But now I kind of also want to read the English one, so I've read this copy once and see what that's like, because I have read some of them in English anyway. So in this book, here's the English synopsis. In this book, Jessie, who is a ballerina, gets asked to participate in synchronized swimming, I think you call it in English. So actually the Dutch book on the back does not have a synopsis for this specific book, just a synopsis for the series in general. And then here are the first 60 titles in Dutch. As far as I know, 66 have been published, translated into Dutch of the original May series. After that they stopped, at least I couldn't find any anymore at that time. So once I, with my rereading, catch up to number 66, I will be reading the rest in English, as far as I have them, because I do have numbers, like some of the later numbers, I think up to like in the 80s, on my Kindle. So I have some of them on Kindle ready to read, but I wanted to reread the series first. So where I can, I read the English ones, because I have some of the English ones, to also get familiar with the English names. Now the main characters, I've remembered that by now, but there are lots of side characters in the various books, not just in one book. But so, while waiting for the water to boil so I can turn it down, Jessie is black, and she is, at this point in the series at least, the only black characters. Most of the others are white, and then Claudia is Japanese American, although in the Dutch version Joke is Japanese Dutch. So yeah, this book was originally written in 1992, the original English version. So that, like, the representation back then was not great, in the sense that most of the other characters being white is not brought up until you meet Claudia, who is Japanese American, and then Jessie, who is black. Interestingly though, I didn't think about that the first time around. So in in the Dutch book, it says that Jessie and her family moved from one place to, and then they move to the town where the other babysitters live, and that in this town people are more welcoming, but in their old place there was a lot more racism and bullying and such. Although I don't think the word racism is actually used. And it'll be interesting to see what it says about that in the English books, because in the Dutch books it's they use Belgium versus them living in the Netherlands, and I'm thinking it's maybe the American South versus the North. I don't know. I'll find out when I reread this book in English. I shall now move on to the next book. This was a nice nostalgic reread. If you have read any books in this series when you were a kid or for a reason, please leave a comment down below. We'll move on, otherwise this last video is going to be really long. Then I finished Heb jij dat ook by Mario Giordano. The English title for this book is 1,000 Feelings That Have No Name. That's the Dutch subtitles it too, but the original is in German, and it is called, I don't know how to pronounce the word 1,000 because it's just a number here. So whatever is 1,000 in Germany, Gefühle, für die es keinen Namen gibt. I don't know what 1,000 is in German. In Dutch it's 1,000. Anyway, so this book is available in English, and it is basically a list of 1,000 feelings that don't have a specific name, so it just goes like that. Although the way the English book looks could be different. So it's not a book, again, not a book that you just read all the way through in one afternoon sort of thing. Admittedly, I mostly bought this because of the blue cover, because I really like this. Blue is my favorite color, and this blue, I don't know how it works out on camera or on your screen. This blue, as I see it now, is really close to what is my favorite blue. And sometimes it's also got like in between these. Here is like partway through the book, there's a index. Is that what you call it? No, not a table of content, but like it lists like which pages talk about which kind of feelings, if that makes sense. Okay, I like the blue. Some of the feelings I really agree with, I really recognize, but others not so much. I guess that makes sense. One thing, so most of it was nice to read. One thing I thought could have been better is sometimes the feelings are use specific pronouns. So I mean, like, let me see if I can find an example. They are in a kind of husband and wife or in a relationship context, but it's then him and her, if that makes sense. And I feel like if you had just replaced it with like partner, or like a, instead of he or she, like them, let's say in English. I don't know if you have that in German, but like I feel like, because it could also apply in a relationship with, you know, not husband and wife, but two women, two men, two non-binary people, or non-binary person, you know, just the gender should not, I don't know if you're going to say it. Let me try and find an example. And sometimes it is done what I consider more inclusive, but sometimes not. So I'm, of course, now that I'm trying to find it, but I know it happened several times. A couple of racist ones as well. So we shall move past that. Although I'm sure some people have those thoughts. I don't, but well, I mean, it's the fear that foreigners from wherever will steal our jobs and our women. That is number 48, which obviously I completely disagree with, but I'm sure some presumably straight men think that way who are racist. But yeah. And I'm translating here, of course, the bubbling anger when you want to talk and he keeps being silent, which I presume has to do with an argument with a husband and wife. So sometimes it's done well, but then, yeah, I guess, I don't know what the original was like. The relief that you found her a good gift. Like, I feel that her could just have been a him as well, or a them. Like, sometimes I just don't get that. We'll move on past that racist one, because that one just annoys me. But I know there are people who think that way, and that is... But some are really good. Here's another racist one. I shall not read it. The loneliness after saying goodbye. I mean, that's... So some of these are the fear that at CERN in Geneva they make a black hole that will swallow us all. The disappointment when you listen to your voicemail. Not that I can relate to that one. I don't even know how to listen to my voicemail, but I think mobiles have it by default. I don't know, excitement to touch him right now, just because. That could have easily been a him, her as well. The desire to sometimes be invisible, but some of them are good. I'm just pointing out some of the ones I disliked. Desire to be invisible, that's nice. I have felt that. The happy realization that you're alive. That's nice. So like some are relatable. The irritation when you have to queue up. The relief because they didn't ask you. The disappointment when you picked a completely wrong gift. The inability to prevent you going to worry when you're awake at night. The fear of saying something wrong. The recklessness because you can't change things anyway. Well, some are really good, and again I'm translating. Some, yeah, less so. It was a nice read. I got it for cheap on sale because I liked the cover, and I think I may have flicked through the Kindle sample. I thought I think I had it on my Kindle wishlist for a while, was I? Not that you can't do a Kindle wishlist anymore, but anyway. I seem to be rambling a whole lot. Let's move on to the next. So then it was, this is Het Grote Maak-je-niet-drukboek by Jeroen, Reid and Erin Williams. And in English this is called The Big Activity Book for Anxious People. This is again one I picked up in a sale online. And while I'm discussing this, I will also include the next book that is very similar to this one. But I'll tell you about this one first. So and you're really better off looking at like an English sample rather than me showing you the Dutch. It's, let me stand up for this, basically a like kind of activity book for anxious people. Some stuff is funny. Some things are more serious than, oh, can we focus? Some things are just not that serious, but, oh, hello, yeah. It was a fun read. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be. Oh, sorry. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be like. It was a bit different than I thought what it was going to be. But yeah. And now we get to the next book, which is very similar because it is by the same authors. And this is Het grote doeboek voor digitale detox. Or in English, this is The Big Activity Book for Digital Detox by, again, Jeroen, Reid and Erin Williams. And this book is very similar to the previous one. But then this is about like staying away from your social media for a while and having a break from being online. So you can flick through it, but I like this one as well, but the shame thing is that it has a lot of very similar things to the previous book. Sorry, you can't really see me talk. It has a lot of similar, which because I read them like in the same week, it bothered me a little bit. Not that that's the exact same, but it uses some of the same concept. But also I am not someone who is checking their phone like all the time. So these books are translated from American, and so I'm just mean some things I could relate to, other things less so. That's just well. But anyway, moving on because I want to have my lunch. So then I read Niemand, deur out by Jeroen, Leijer and Marjolein Schalk. This is kind of about, it says here, like a holiday book for people who stay at home, or staycation I think it's called. And again, I bought this online on a sale. Didn't really know what it was going to be like. The same for these as well. And that one. Oh, it's called Stagvakantie in Dutch, but staycation is the English. Now, I liked some of this. I liked other bits less. So I will just flick through it as I'm standing, because it really is, it's a bit more like a magazine, I guess, with lots of little bits. Now, I quite liked, so here is like a fictional diary of day one of a couple. So she writes a bit, he writes a bit. I'm pretty sure they're fictional. And so those bits continue throughout the book. So for example, here is day 8. And I really liked that, for example. But some other things in here were a bit more, let's say, stereotypical. So this is written from, I don't know, Dutch or Belgian perspectives. And, you know, go on holiday to other countries. So some things are a bit like when they, like, let's say, having holiday in your own house, but then using stuff from the culture of those countries. I'm trying to find some of the pages to show you what I mean, but well, just some of it was a bit stereotypical is all, and I guess maybe that's the fun of it, maybe that is the point, maybe that's the humor. I don't know, so those diaries I mentioned, I enjoyed that the most, but some other articles were nice as well. Some things less so. I admit I skimmed a few things because I wasn't, yeah. It's kind of meant as in poking fun at certain concepts, I think. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it, for me, worked less. Which, you know, fair enough, I guess. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend buying this for full price. It's strange because so this book was published in 2013. Now it's 2021. It's June at the moment, and so since, let's say, March 2020, end of February 2020 in the Netherlands, we have been in a global pandemic. We still are, and so holidaying at home and staying at home has kind of become a thing for a lot of people, for obvious reasons. So, well, I'm just gonna move on. Then, for girls only, alles wat coole meiden moeten weten by Séverine Clochard, Cécile, Hudrisier and Audrey. This is translated from French, from Vives. So this is a book for teenage girls, younger teenage girls, about puberty and some of the things they can encounter. I got this at a library sale. It's got nice illustrations. Now this book had some good information. It's not just about puberty, about mental health as well, about friendship, falling in love, school, family. So it's got different chapters with different themes. The one thing I didn't like about this book, and it is, I should point out, it is from 2005. Yeah, so the original French is from the 2005. But even in 2005, I'm pretty sure that there were LGBTQ plus people. And this, whenever it mentions falling in love or anything like that, only ever talks about the teenage girls with boys. And that just, so that was why I liked this book less, because, now I know this was written in 2005, but even then, not all teenage girls are going to fall in love with boys and marry them and have kids and that's it. And that's fine, right? Like, I mean, you have, you know, gay people, lesbian people, you have bisexuals, right? You have I'm demisexual, and I totally believe that for me the gender would not matter as much, because I've always just thought that. So anyway, I just thought that that bit was, now in some parts it was, but yeah, in others it was just, I just cannot with that. So as a teenage girl I would not have related to those parts, because as a teenage girl I had never fallen in love. I didn't really have any crushes. Like I said, I'm demisexual, so I need to have a close emotional bond with somebody before any of that happens, before I feel any sort of sexual or romantic attraction, either one's a demisexual, demi-romantic. And so, but you know, some teenage girls love girls, and so, okay, we've talked about that enough. Yeah, that was just the part about it that bothered me the most. Yeah, there are a few fatphobic things, but it was not as bad as the anti-queer stuff, let's put it that. The illustrations were cute, but yeah. Okay, now I'm moving on to the last book I read in May, and then it's really time for me to have my salad. So this is The Other F Word, a celebration of the fat and fierce. This is edited by Angie Manfredi, and it has a bunch of different contributors. So this is like a collection of essays. It's not just essays, about being fat and fashion and fat phobia, and I really enjoyed this book. I also liked that it included intersectionality with people of color, queer people, etc. And you know, a lot of the contributors talked about that, and I also like the illustrations that you have throughout the book. Some contributors actually made a illustration. Let me show you one here. There are a few more. Some have written a poem, some have written a letter to themselves, some have just written to the other person, and this one's nice as well. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I think I will close it off there because this video has gone quite long, and I really want to have my lunch now because it is really way past lunchtime. Thank you very much for watching this video. Leave a comment if you like. How was your reading in May? Although by the time you watch this, I don't know how many videos I've recorded. I need to edit them all and upload them. So by the time you watch this, we'll probably be way well into June. So if you want to tell me how your June reading is going, feel free to reply in the comments. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!